A lot of people say you guys predicted Trump's run.
I know. We'll take credit for anything.
15 times The Simpsons predicted the future. With 673 episodes and 31 seasons, The Simpsons recently became the longest-running primetime TV series, surpassing a TV show called Gunsmoke that spanned 20 years. That's a lot of storylines, characters, and most importantly, jokes. Almost everyone knows The Simpsons, unless you happen to live on the moon. For many of us, we grew up watching them, but now we are a little older and a lot less wiser. We notice that we may have overlooked some of the show's eerie secret hints for the future. So is it any coincidence when The Simpsons predict a future event, or is something more sinister at work? Are the writers psychic? Or was it inevitable that after running for so long, a plot or theme would come true? We're gonna let you decide for yourself. Disney buys 20th Century Fox, Season 10, Episode 5. In the episode When You Dish Upon a Star from 1998, we see Hollywood producers Ron Howard and Brian Grazer produce a script that Homer had initially pitched. In one shot, we see the infamous 20th Century Fox logo in front of the studio's headquarters, but there is a sign below it that reads, "A division of Walt Disney Co." On the 14th of December 2017, Disney bought 20th Century Fox for an estimated $52.4 billion. Thus acquiring Fox's film studio and a huge selection of television production assets. This meant that Disney had full reign over popular franchises such as X-Men, Avatar, and our beloved Simpsons. Horsemeat Scandal, Season 5, Episode 19. In the episode Sweet Seymour Skinner's Badass Song that aired back in 1994, Seymour gets fired due to pranks caused by Bart, with Flanders of all people replacing the principal. In a quick visual, we see lunch lady Doris rummaging for horse parts from a barrel to add to the school's lunch. It was no surprise. We have seen her do worse things like date Hans Moleman or greasing up groundskeeper Willie. Gross! 9 years later, and the Food Safety Authority of Ireland discovered horse DNA in over 1/3 of beef burger samples from many supermarkets and ready meals, and pig in 85% of them too. Siegfried and Roy Tiger Attack, Season 5, Episode 10. In the 1993 episode called Springfield, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love Legalized Gambling, we get to the infamous Las Vegas magicians, and they get the Simpsons treatment. The episode's main plot is focused on Mr. Burns building a casino in Springfield, so of course there was going to be a lot of Vegas references. During the episode, the magicians, who are referred to as Gunter and Ernst, are attacked by their trained white tiger while they are performing inside the casino. Working with wild animals is always risky, so this prediction is understandable. In 2003, Roy Horn of Siegfried and Roy was performing live and going off script, placing his microphone to 7-year-old Montecore, the white tiger's mouth, and asking him to say hello to the audience. The tiger clearly didn't want to, though, and instead bit into Roy's sleeve and then knocked him down and pinned him to the floor. As standby trainers rushed in to help, Montecore bit into Roy's neck and carried him off stage. Trainers were able to get to the tiger to release Roy after spraying him with CO2 canisters. The attack severed Roy's spine, inflicted critical blood loss, and Roy even suffered a stroke. Fortunately, Roy survived, but with serious lifelong complications. The use of autocorrect, Season 6, Episode 8. In the 1994 episode Lisa on Ice, we see Principal Skinner inform students at assembly which subjects they are failing, and for Lisa, it's gym class. She learns that she will get a passing grade if she joins a program outside of school. It turns out that she is best at ice hockey after she deflects litter pelted at her by Bart, and thus becomes a goalie. During one scene, we see the school bullies Kearney and Dolph take a memo to beat up Martin on a Newton device, but then the memo translates to eat up Martha. The Newton was Apple's latest invention at the time, and it had just been released. It was known for having terrible handwriting recognition and being inferior. Years later, sources claim that when Apple was working on the iPhone keypad, employees were aware of the Simpsons joke and used it as an inspiration to improve. Nitin Ganatra, who was the director of engineering iOS applications at Apple, even confirmed this in an interview. Smartwatches and FaceTime, Season 6, Episode 19. In the 1995 episode Lisa's Wedding, we got two predictions. Ironically, this was the first time in the show where they went into the future. In the episode, Lisa goes to a psychic whom tells her about her future, in which she supposedly gets married to an English gentleman called Hugh. Hugh is seen talking to his watch after a botched wedding proposal. In another scene, we see Lisa talking to her parents through video chat. Smartwatches came out in 2013 and utilized voice recognition. And video chat also became popular in the early 2010s as well. Now with Skype, Google Hangout, and FaceTime used on a daily basis, The writers must have also visited a psychic when writing this episode. Faulty Voting Machines, Season 20, Episode 4. In the 19th installment of Treehouse of Horror back in 2008, we see Homer trying to vote for Barack Obama in the US general election. However, a faulty machine keeps changing his vote to John McCain. As Homer tries to vote for Obama, the machine opens up and sucks him inside, and then shoots him out. We can presume it killed Homer since it was a Halloween episode. It's shocking to see Homer actually vote, let alone a computerized machine malfunctioning. 4 years later, or even a full election cycle later, a voting machine in Pennsylvania had to be removed because it kept changing people's votes for Barack Obama to Mitt Romney. Daenerys Targaryen's big plot twist in Game of Thrones, Season 29, Episode 1. The penultimate episode of Game of Thrones was met with mixed reviews by fans, but most people thought it was really, really bad. Daenerys shocked fans by, well, killing everyone, after so many seasons convincing us that she would save the world. Anyone who named their child Daenerys immediately regretted it. It was the episode titled The Surf Sons, which aired in 2017 and largely made fun of Game of Thrones. Set in a magical medieval world, we see Marge's mother turn into an ice walker, and Homer makes Lisa use illegal magic to cure her. But then Lisa is kidnapped, and Homer must lead a feudal uprising to try and rescue her. During the episode, Homer revives a dragon that then proceeds to obliterate an entire village. There has to be the possibility that at least one of the writers was a GOT fan, right? FIFA's corruption scandal and World Cup results. Season 25, Episode 16. In the 2014 episode, You Don't Have to Live Like a Referee, The Simpsons take on FIFA and the World Cup. Homer is catapulted into the world of refereeing due to the FIFA organization having a shortage because of massive corruption. While Homer is tempted, he decides to be fair during the big game, which leads to Germany winning the World Cup. When the World Cup did take place, Germany did end up winning, and in 2015, FIFA employees got arrested following accusations of bribery, fraud, and money laundering. The Donald Trump Presidency, Season 11, Episode 17. In the episode Bart to the Future that aired in 2000, we see the Simpsons go into the future for a second time. And just like the first time they went into the future, the Simpsons writers have yet again predicted something that came true. In this episode, we learn that Lisa is the president, and during a cabinet meeting, she mentions, "We inherited quite the budget crunch from President Trump." The reference was originally from Trump trying to run as a Reform Party candidate, but comes 16 years later, and the Trump was elected president. The week after the election, the recurring chalkboard joke at the start of the episode read, "Being right sucks." Three-Eyed Fish, Season 2, Episode 4. In the 1990 episode, Two Cars in Every Garage and Three Eyes on Every Fish, Bart catches a weird three-eyed fish in a river downstream of the nuclear power plant. The discovery leads to local headlines, which then leads to an inspection of the plant, and to prevent the plant from being shut down, Mr. Burns runs as governor. Burns loses and has to take a random employee out for dinner, and he chooses, yep, you guessed it, Homer. Around a decade later, and a three-eyed fish is discovered in a reservoir in Argentina, and the reservoir itself was also fed by water from a nearby nuclear power plant. How uncanny is that, huh? Letters from the Beatles, Season 2, Episode 18. In the 1991 episode, Brush with Greatness, Marge revives her high school-era love of painting and enrolls in an art class after some encouragement from Lisa. When Marge wins the first prize in a local competition for a sexy portrait of Homer in his underwear on the couch, Mr. Burns commissions Marge to paint a sexy portrait of him, but when revealed at a party, the audience is less than impressed, or rather shocked. At some point during the episode, we see Ringo Starr of the Beatles diligently answering fan mail that was written from many decades ago. Fast forward to September 2013, and two Beatle fans from Essex received a reply from Paul McCartney to a letter and recording that they had sent to the band over 50 years ago. The recording was initially sent to a theater in London that the band was supposed to play at, but was found years later by a historian in a car boot sale. The pair of fans are reunited with their original letter on the BBC program, The One Show, and that's when they learn of the reply from Sir Paul McCartney. After this revelation, the remaining Beatles fans started getting fan mail again. Censorship of Michelangelo's David, Season 2, Episode 9. In the 1990 episode Itchy and Scratchy and Marge, Maggie hits Homer over the head, and when Marge thinks it's down to cartoon violence, she decides to set up a protest. When the infamous Michelangelo's David is heading to town on a tour, Marge and her angry mob decide to protest against it because you see the statue's penis. Marge changes her mind, though, when she gazes at the statue and appreciates it instead. Marge is a big art fan, so this isn't out of character. On July 2016, the satire of censorship became true when Russian campaigners voted on whether the great statue should have clothes or not when it was set up in central St. Petersburg. The creation of the tobacco plant, Season 11, Episode 5. In the 1999 episode E.I.E.I. Annoyed Grunt, also known as E.I.E.I. Dope, the Simpsons go to the movie theater to see The Poke of Zorro, which is a parody of The Mask of Zorro. After Homer is inspired to hit people with a glove like in the movie, it backfires when a real Southern gentleman accepts his request for a duel. The Simpsons decide to run off to an old farm that Homer used to live on with his parents. While on the farm, the family try and grow crops and nothing works for a month. Homer accidentally mixes tomato seeds with tobacco seeds, and after using a little nuclear energy, creates a whole new hybrid of plant. Something that tastes gross, but is really addictive. The new plant is called a tobacco. Simpsons fan Rob Bohr decided to create his own plant after becoming inspired from the episode. In 2003, Rob grafted together a tobacco root and a tomato stem together, creating a tobacco. The Simpsons writers were really impressed on hearing what Rob had done and even invited him and his family to their offices and ate the tobacco fruit themselves. The discovery of the Higgs boson equation, Season 8, Episode 1. In the 1998 episode, The Wizard of Evergreen Terrace, Homer decides to become an inventor after realizing that half of his life is over and that he had never accomplished anything. His inventions are not particularly great, with things like a makeup shotgun, alarm that only stops beeping if something is wrong, electric hammer, and reclining chair with a built-in toilet. During one scene when Homer is trying to come up with ideas, we see him stand in front of a complicated equation on a blackboard. According to Simon Singh, who is the author of The Simpsons and Their Mathematical Secrets, the writing on the blackboard is actually an equation that predicts the mass of the Higgs boson particle. It was first predicted in 1964 by Professor Peter Higgs and 5 other physicists, though it wasn't until 2013 that scientists discovered evidence of the Higgs boson in a $13 billion experiment. The Coronavirus, Season 4, Episode 21. In the episode Marge in Chains, which aired way back in 1993, Marge accidentally shoplifts and goes to jail for 30 days. This is all while there is a flu epidemic in Springfield. Kent Brockman announces in a news report about the fears of the Osaka flu. Another scene depicts a Japanese factory worker coughing into a package which is then sent to the US. Most of the residents get sick as a result. Even though the coronavirus originated from Wuhan, China, the similarities between the episode and real life are hard not to notice. Some skeptics think that this is one of The Simpsons' less accurate predictions, while others are adamant that it is freakishly true. I guess time will tell for this one. What do you think of our list? Do you think there are more predictions to come? Did we leave anything out? Let us know in the comments.